Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Angela Yee, DJ Envy is off today, probably on his book tour, but we have somebody else who is on their book tour. My guy, Van Lathan Jr., he has a new book out, Fat, Crazy, and Tired.
What up, what up, what up?
Tales from the Trenches of Transformation. What's up,
man.
my brother?
I'm good, man. How y'all doing this morning?
Y'all were just having a conversation about vans.
Yeah, I said there's a lot of vans running around now, I feel like.
It's a van renaissance. Yeah, it was like growing up, you ain't meet nobody else with the name, right? Just me and my pops. But now, like Van from Atlanta, Van Hunt, got Halle Berry holding it down for all the vans. So yeah, there's more vans out there now. It's our season.
So van's not short for anything, it's just van.
Mm-hmm.
Mini.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's just Van Lathan Jr. Actually, the name is actually Van Terry.
Okay.
So it's like, you know, like somebody would be, like a woman would be Mary Ann or something like that. My name is actually
shit.
Van
So
Terry.
it is short for something.
Kind of, but like not really, because my dad, my father went by my father just went by Terry. Mm-hmm. When you was talking to my dad, it was just Terry, and I just go by just Van. Yeah.
Van Terry.
I wonder if Van Jones has a name like that.
Yeah, that's the
Van
other
Jones
van.
is the one we
yep.
fought.
All the vans.
Yeah.
How y'all forget Van Jones?
I did. That's what I was thinking of initially, and we got sidetracked.
Right.
Van Jones is the he's the
Ooh, what do you say?
he's the van.
This motherfucker's friend.
He is the van, no.
And so I'm
The original
He's not the van in my
Van
life.
Jones.
Wait.
For America, he's Van Jones.
So you're saying
the
he's
guy
like-
got $100 million from Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
Come
wait.
on, y'all.
So you're saying he's like the Patron of vans, like Patron
Nah,
is
Patron ain't the
tequila.
high grade tequila.
Whatever it is.
Casa Dragonis.
You know who we know is not the high grade? Me, obviously.
Not that it's high grade, but like the one that you look at, like when people used to say tequila, it was really Patron.
Well,
Now, be honest. If somebody said Van,
right.
who you think they'd pick first? In America, just in America. Average white person, you walk up to in the Midwest and say, do you know Van? Like, yeah.
So let me put it to you like this. I'll tell you why I got to keep it real. People call me Van Jones all the time. I doubt anybody calls him Van Lathan.
Okay.
You know
No,
what I'm saying?
he's gotten it.
I don't think
he said it
gotten that,
before.
but- Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I'm walking around and people go, I literally was at Universal Studios or somewhere like that, and I walked by somebody and they went, Van Jones. And I turned around and I went, Lathan. And they go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, just don't worry about it, brother. Don't worry
is what
about
it is.
Now,
Yeah.
the last time you were here, well, since you've been here last, you're not with TMZ.
Right.
You signed a deal with The Ringer.
Yes.
Won an Oscar.
Yes.
Now you have a new book, Fat, Crazy,
I have
and
a new
Tired.
book. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Lots been happening. Like, it almost seems like I came here, I guess it was 2018, and the TMZ situation ended like the next year. Mm-hmm. That was very like the next year. Almost a year to the date of me having come up here. Like, I was gone from there, and then I haven't had much time to catch my breath since then, right? Because like TMZ ends, I get into a new situation at a new shop. I'm working on all this stuff. The pandemic hits, and then we all get in this weird time vortex where it doesn't seem like time is moving in the same way that it did like prior to it. It's just different. So really, it's just now from everything that's happened in my life that I'm able to like catch my breath and start getting back to things just like everybody else. And now we got the book coming out, so I'm all over the place doing that.
I mean, I know this because you're my guy, but just for the people, what made you feel like it was time for you to exit from TMZ?
Well, two things. Number one, they exited me. We should be.
But you was going to leave anyway.
So this is the situation with that. So I leave TMZ, or I get fired from TMZ, just put it out there, in October. But as you know, I was already gone, basically, because I
didn't renew your deal.
Didn't renew my deal. Didn't renew my contract. I didn't renew my contract. The contract was up probably, I think it was December that year, like whatever, and it was over in October. I had done everything you could do there. There was nowhere else to go.
So why would they fire you if they knew you weren't coming back and not just let you leave?
That's why they would fire me. So so after the Kanye thing happens, right? Like, we go around and like we have a couple meetings with a couple people. Like, they want to make sure that they do a show on me. Remember we was talking about this? Like, we go talk to people here, we do that. And I remember I had a conversation one time with Harvey where he was like, yeah, and this is something, these types of shows are something that we could do. We could bank a bunch of these shows and then, get them out of the way, shoot them whenever, and then it won't interrupt you coming in and doing what you do on the show. I remember telling them, I was like, I don't see myself having my own television show and then coming back and working at TMZ and still being at TMZ in the days, right? And he was like, whatever. And then the next time I just straight up told him, I was like, I'm not re-signing with TMZ.
Okay.
Like when this is up, think about it. After this, I'm coming off my profile is up. I have all of these other opportunities, and you just want to grow and be able to do more things. And so I said, I'm not resigning. So they knew that. And coming down to the end of it, things were just so tense between him and me.
They set you up. They set you up. They set you up. They put you in a position to where you had to defend yourself against a white man at TMZ, and then they fired you for it.
Well, whatever. But what that's
what I saw.
But
okay,
what ended up happening is when everybody split, I don't think either party felt like super bad about it because they already knew I was out the door, and of course I already had things lined up. I think the only thing that fucked with me was what happened after. And
what happened after?
So the way it went to me, right? And me and Mike, who's still a friend of mine, me and Mike have a disagreement, whatever. Or we have a situation where we're going back and forth on the show. So I go over to Mike, probably something I shouldn't have done. I go over to Mike and I say,
I remember that.
Yeah, I go over to Mike. I'm like, look, I come up behind him. I'll say, look, this is the way. I don't appreciate being talked to like that, blah, blah, blah. You know how I am, whatever. Say something, I leave, right? Charles is laughing at first. Then Charles says, Van, go home. That's the last time I was ever in TMZ. So I leave and I go home, and they hit me up like, yo, well, you put your hands on his shoulders, so you got to go. You're out. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, literally. I swear on my father. I'm like, cool. They're like, cool. I'm like, cool. It's like, no, I don't even need to come. I don't even need to get my stuff from my desk. We're good. We both know that it was coming to the end of the line anyway.
And it's on camera. It's not like people didn't see it.
Yeah,
so.
people saw it, and people can make up their own minds about whether or not you think I'm a violent, crazy, ignorant nigga, but it's right there for you. So then nothing happens. Like, I go and we start taking meetings. Me and Karen, we taking meetings. We figuring out like what it is that we doing next. Now we're jump started with this, right? So that Saturday, my coworkers throw me a going away party because they didn't get a chance to say goodbye. The guy who I was in the altercation with, Mike, is at the going away party.
You want that fade?
Is that really? That was an altercation.
It wasn't an altercation. It wasn't an altercation at all. They're calling it an altercation. I'm trying to do.
It was a little. It was not an altercation.
It wasn't an altercation.
Maybe the white people.
I think the white people,
especially after seeing what happened at the Oscars and what they.
Right.
You know.
If Will Smith smacking Chris traumatize you to the point to where you can't wake up and go to work, like if it hurts you so bad, then think about it. How about this? Wouldn't you want to live in a world where that's the worst thing you ever saw? That's what we're really.
But that's
fighting
not
for.
Our reality.
It's not our reality.
Yeah, that's not black people's reality.
Right. It's not our reality. So it's like I would love to live in a world where that was the worst thing I ever saw, but that's just not the world that I live in, right? You know. So anyway, they throw me this going away party. Monday, I get a call from the people at Page 6. And they say, "Hey, we're running this in the fucking in Page 6. We're gonna talk about the fact that you were dismissed, right? The whole nine." I call him. I'm like, "Bruh, like Page 6 is doing something on it." First of all, number one, I felt kind of fly because I was like, "Damn,
Page 6.
Page 6." You know what I'm saying? And then secondly, I'm like, how's this gonna play out? The article comes out and it looks good for me.
Right.
It's like. They talk to someone and they go, well, we know Van's not a mean guy. We love Van. This is kind of the thing in the office, blah, 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 whatever. I think that embarrassed them. I had nothing to do with the Page 6 article. Right. Like nothing to do with it.
You know what? I want you to talk about triggers, right? Because we're talking about triggers and being traumatized. Talk about what led to you telling him, you know, don't talk about that.
Okay. So this is what happened. And I'll get back to the other thing. So we are, that morning, right? There's a story, and the story has to do with Ellen DeGeneres being friends with George Bush, right? And why that's cool, and why it's cool that I guess Michelle Obama was friendly with George Bush. Listen, if you have fuzzy feelings about George Bush, and if you have fuzzy feelings about him and you want to be cool with him, he's a painter now, whatever, that's fine. I'll never feel that way, ever, about George Bush, ever in life. I'm from South Louisiana, and I watched a hurricane come through and devastate my community and devastate my relatives and family members. It's like a situation where it's 30 people living in a house because they done got their cousins and aunties from New Orleans. There was this weird phenomenon that happened during the hurricane, and anyone that went through it, to where there were older people in our lives, right, that were in perfectly good health, and the stress just killed them. People just dropping off. It's not just the hurricane itself. I'm trying to make this thing, and I'm looking over and Cardi B shaking ass right now on the screen. It's very distracting. But it's like it was raw. It felt like the world was gonna end, and the president just fucking didn't care. And I told people at TMZ, I'm like, all right, cool. I talked about that. I'm going back and forth with people in the office about it, about President Bush, but I don't want to discuss that anymore. Like, if there's one thing I don't want to talk about, it's about Hurricane Katrina, George Bush, or anything like that.
It's the triggers.
So going into TMZ Live, I said, hey, when y'all do this topic, I do not want to be on it. And I'm like, no big deal. I don't want to be on the topic. And they continued to ask me over and over and over again. Harvey wasn't there, so they needed Van to make TV. They continued to ask me over, Van, come on, Van, come on, Van, come on, Van. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. So I'm already emotional about it. I'm not trying to take no shit about it. And now I'm on here and I'm on this, and it feels like I'm being played with. It feels like how seriously I'm taking this is not being respected. And I'm already in an emotional place that I don't want to be in. I don't want to think about death. I don't want to think about going to all of these places and there not being no gas at the gas station and not being no food I don't want to ever think about Hurricane Katrina again. And think about all of these people showing me their devastated homes and my father losing his home and all of that stuff. And so I wasn't in the space that I really needed to be to have that conversation. And so feeling the way that I felt after, I went over and I was just like, yo, I didn't fucking appreciate that.
Word.
I didn't appreciate that. And any time that I am in a situation where I feel like I don't appreciate the way you spoke to me, I'm gonna let you know. Now, what I was trying to do was, rather than scream across the office and loud and make a big scene, I didn't want to let the moment pass without saying anything, because I never want to do that. If I feel uncomfortable in the moment, I always want to meet that moment right then.
Absolutely. And Will showed us how crazy screaming across the room looks.
How you look,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So what I did was I walked over. What I was trying to do was walk over and whisper in his ear, like, yo, didn't appreciate it. Don't fucking talk to me like that. Blah, 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 and then leave. And that got turned into Van attacked Mike.
Yeah.
So what happened is, after that, the day after the Page Six article comes, then another article from Page Six comes with a still, like, from one image of the whole thing, and them talking about the fact that I got physical. It was the office striking back at me. And this is the part where the uncomfortability sets in, or the resentment from me sets in. Never in my life will I ever distance myself from how important my time at TMZ was for me. People have all kinds of opinions about the platform, and they're not wrong. But all I can say is that for me, it was a place where I was given the opportunity to grow, given the opportunity to learn. It's where people first got to know me. They know that I am not who they painted me as when they came back. I've been there 9 years. There's no one in that fucking office that would have ever thought that I would have done anything or attacked anyone or anything like that. And for me, when the gang got that dirty, I was like, fuck it. But that was important. I'll tell you why. God, divinity, the universe, whatever, did not want me to leave that situation without the feeling of having been on the other side of a headline like that. Like, for 9 years, I had been right there, complicit and a part of all types of headlines that affected people's lives, that might have affected their livelihood, that might have been painted with them. I did my best. I swear to God, I did my best to report and to reflect things that were unsaid by members of the community and things that were misunderstood the best that I could while I was there with what I was given and the freedom I was given and the voice that I had. But the reality of the situation was there's a slant. There's always a slant, and the slant is towards the sensational, and the slant is oftentimes towards the negative, because the reality is that that's what people consume and like to consume the most of.
Right.
So for me, in order to leave there and be a better version of myself and be a happier version of myself and more successful,
You had to be a headline.
I had to be a headline.
Well, give yourself
get that.
some grace though, because you did challenge them whenever they would run
Oh, always.
headlines that were wild. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
always. But like, no, I'm not saying that I didn't, and they know that I did, and people that watch the show know that I did. I mean, and it was still shit there that they were. I talk about it in the book, but by the end, like Harvey and I were having, like, we were really going back and forth a lot because of his Trump support and because of the years and years and years of me having to be the dude that people come to whenever the organization would fuck something up.
Right.
Like whenever the Suge Knight thing happened, whenever the organization would fuck something up, I would get calls. I met a lot of celebrities and a lot of really important people the first time with them being mad at TMZ.
Yeah,
Wow.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I see that all the time with people who are writers too, because they do those sensationalized, clickbaity type of headlines, but people don't appreciate it, especially if you sit down and do like a long interview and then they pull a headline from it and you're like, man, we talked about so many other things. You know, why is this the headline and it's misleading? Because a lot of times people don't read a whole article.
Right.
Or they won't look at the whole interview and they'll just see this headline and then they run with it. And that's hard for people when they're part of that story and they're like, I trusted you to tell my story. And then sometimes I feel like at TMZ, certain people they only cover, especially in the hip hop world, if it's something negative. Like this person got arrested, this person got in a shootout. You'd never see them cover them before that.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know?
Really, that's like that becomes a certain measure of fame, is if your fuck ups are deemed worthy enough to make it to the site. It's like, oh, so and so happened right now. Van, do we care about him? I was like, well, yeah, people like him. All right, cool. Well, he's on this thing. And I'm like, fuck. And the crazy thing is sometimes the artists and the people, they like being on there for the bullshit.
Right.
Yeah,
Because it's
Some people feed those stories.
right, and it's promotion, and if they care about you, there means that it's a big deal. But there were definitely certain and the longer you're there, right? When I first got there, I'm like, hey, let's get wild. Like, we all on this together, let's get wild. I'm not saying that I went to TMZ every day and planted a moral flag in the sand. It was like, whatever, because most of the days it's like, you just doing news, breaking shit, whatever. But what I noticed about my time there, I'll give you an example of something. So, it's not enough for people. So I don't think that TMZ or organizations like it, I don't think that they hate black culture. I don't think that they have a problem with black culture. I think a lot of people sit around and they think that places like that they don't like black culture because of the way that they cover it, or that they have a negative opinion of it. I don't think that that's true at all. I just don't think that they care about the sensitivities. And not caring about the sensitivities, when you're talking about black people, I believe this. When you're talking about black people, not caring about them is actually emotionally the same as hating them. Black people in this country, with what black people have been through, now I demand that America care. I demand that mainstream America care about black people. You can't just be agnostic. You can't just say, I don't have an opinion, let them do whatever they want, because that, to me, shirks the blame or shirks the responsibility that the country has in making our communities whole, right? So I'll give you an example of something. So the Suge Knight story that I was talking about. So this guy who was like one of Adam Sandler's friends, he got caught on tape saying the N-word, right? The N-word that we know as nigga. He gets caught saying the N-word, and we get him leaving jail, and he goes, it's whatever, bullshit. Suge Knight told me I could say the N-word. And that was his excuse. He goes, I talk to Suge Knight all the time.
That's a good nigga reference.
Right.
It's a great nigga
Right.
reference.
If you're going to pull one.
That's a great nigga reference.
Like, he got his nigga card from Suge, so it's good. It's like Suge Knight said I could say the N-word, right? And so it's like, whatever. We end up getting Suge Knight out. We talk to Suge Knight. And Suge Knight says,
That nigga lying.
That's not what he said. Suge Knight says, well, I don't have any problem with white people saying the N-word. He's like, to me, I'm more of a nigga than I am an African American. He says, nigga is the term that I think means more than African American. He's like, African Americans, like whatever. I don't relate to that. I actually relate to being called nigga. So I think we should actually be called niggas, right? Cool. So TMZ puts a poll on the website.
Okay.
If you don't believe me, look it up right now. TMZ puts a poll on the website, a Friday poll on the website, and the poll says, at the end it says, so we got to ask, niggas or African Americans? So at this point, I'm not a producer yet. I'm doing the tour guide. I'm a tour guide, doing camera, I'm doing the show. So I'm leaving the tour, right? And my phone rings. And somebody's like, yo, are you looking at what's on the website right now? Actually, it wasn't Friday. I think it was Saturday because it's a weekend story, whatever it was. Like, yo, are you looking what's on the website right now? I'm like, no. I'm looking at this. I'm like, yo, man, what the fuck? I'm like, what? I'm like, I just call Kalika. I'm like, yo, what the fuck should I do? So Monday I'm not in the office. Tuesday I come on and, and me and Harvey go back and forth on the show. And I actually tell him on the show, I was like, I feel like I had to ask a question. I'm like, there's no way you could be that stupid to think that question was okay. And he's like, I'm that stupid, whatever. So let me tell you why that story matters. Years later, so Lil Dicky, y'all know Lil Dicky, right?
He had that song.
Yeah, so the K-word song, right? So actually Lil Dicky, one of the first times he was ever on television, it was on TMZ because he had that song called White Dude, and I worked that song into the show. I thought it was funny. I knew that Harvey would like it. So I asked another white rapper about the song, and then they played the song, and then Lil Dicky ended up being on TMZ because I saw the song, and that happened all the time. There were all kinds of artists that I liked, and I was able to get them on TV. Man, I put my neighbors on the show. I put all kinds of people on the show. If you needed a look, hit me up. I send a camera to you. I could pitch it and get it on the show. And so I had that type of power, and that was important. But anyway, we set up a shot with Lil Dicky, and they're asking for, because this whole narrative in the office was, if people say the N-word in the music, then we should be able to say the N-word when we're singing the songs. They would always say that. Harvey would always argue. I don't see how you can stop people from saying it when it's in the music, and other people in the office would say that, and I would go back and forth, and that was a big thing. Plus the Suge Knight thing, I said, okay, have somebody ask Lil Dicky, and I would never in my life want to use a racial slur. I don't care what Lil Dicky calls himself in the song. I don't care what anybody else calls himself in the song. I'm not calling you a bitch. I'm not calling you a hoe. I'm not that normalized stuff. Even though it's normalized in some people's music, I'm never going to use that because I know how those words can hurt and kill. So I do not want to ever. I've never ever called anyone the K word, and I never will want to. But I had them ask the question. Well, since Lil Dicky is saying the K word,
and Lil Dicky's Jewish.
Lil Dicky's Jewish.
Yeah.
Since a Jewish guy is saying the K word in his music, then does he think that other people that rap his music should be able to say it too? Because this is the logic that I'm getting from the top, right? So they asked that question, and I'm pitching the video in the office, and Harvey gets super pissed off at the question, and I'm like, oh, so you do understand,
right?
You just don't give a fuck when it's my culture. So you understand that a rapper saying something in a song does not give anyone permission or carte blanche to go and then say that, right? You understand that there are cultural guardrails and guidelines to what's going to offend people, to what's going to upset people, and to what's going to make people feel like they want to have some sort of friction with you. You just don't care unless it is directed towards you. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, because what I thought was, hey, we give everybody the equal shit. And what I understood is it's not that it was an attack on us. It's just like when it's us, a lot of times people don't care.
Don't care.
People don't care when we get mad. People don't care when we get upset. People don't fucking care when we don't like something. So it's blackface every fucking Halloween, nigga this. And whenever we do something, they say, okay, we treat y'all this way because y'all do this, because y'all say this. And whatever. You can listen to the logic of that and buy into it if you want. But right then, I had an example of it actually has nothing to do with whether or not somebody is trying to normalize racial slurs or language against their own culture. It has to do with the fact that you don't like hearing it, so you're saying no. We couldn't even ask the question. The question itself didn't even make the show.
What was Dickie's answer?
Wow.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I was asking the question. The question itself didn't even make the show.
Yeah, that's real.
And I remember all around the office is like, everybody's like, Van, are you arguing to say the K word? And I'm like, no. I was like, wait.
That's not what I'm saying here.
I was like, do y'all be arguing to say?
The
No,
N-word.
I'm not arguing to say the K word. I don't want to say it at all. But so you mean to tell me that y'all be arguing to say the N word? I thought we were doing this. I thought we were all doing this logical thought experiment. I thought we were all on the same plane. Nah.
Is it across the board or is there
Or
exceptions?
is it just fuck us?
Nigga does slap in those records.
It's better,
though.
bruh. But
When you it does.
it does. Oh, and by the way, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I get the nigga contradiction. I understand. Like, I'm not stupid, right? I get the nigga contradiction. I
Was YG song out around this time, or was this after YG's? My nigga.
Bruh,
that was tough.
Y'all gotta understand what it was like working at TMZ. The My Nigga song like would come on the radio, and I would just slump down in my seat. I'm like, we're gonna have to talk about this. I'm gonna have to go into the office and explain to these motherfuckers why we can't do them. My nigga Trinidad James, love Trinidad James.
And was in Paris.
Like the whole time, it was in Paris. Alec Baldwin says it was in Paris, niggas in Paris on Twitter, and I'm like, fuck. I gotta do nigga Thursdays again. I gotta go back in here again and do this over and over and over again.
Man.
Every time somebody fucks up.
Listen. So you won an Oscar. Okay, so let's move on from TMZ. You did good after TMZ.
Yeah.
I did,
It went up.
You won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was better.
Talk about it.
Oh yeah, Two Distant Strangers. Shout out Joey Badass.
I love Joey Badass, and I thought he did such a great job.
What a good actor.
Yeah.
What a good actor, man. What a good actor.
Joey
what
can
a
act.
good man. Joey Badass, Andrew Howard, Zaria, Martin Desmond Rowe, co-directed, written by Trayvon Free, Nick May.
Nick. What's up, Nick?
Nick May. Let me tell you guys about my partner, Nick May, my homeboy, man. Like 4 people in 6 Feet Under at the time. Nick, Samir, me, Trayvon, right? Nick May, people don't know, younger brother of Ava DuVernay, just a complete go-getter and somebody that's able to help you. Everybody needs someone like this, somebody that can help you take a vision and take an idea and take a plan and put it into action.
Great brother. Loving it.
Look, so Trayvon, awesome, ridiculously talented guy, like has an idea. He throws an idea out to us, and I look at him, and this is what I actually learned at where I was. I learned that pop culture is actually art plus timing. That's what pop culture is. Pop culture is, it's whatever art you're making, be it a movie or a video or whatever, plus the time that it gets made. That art's ability to capture a time and be relevant to a time. That's what pop culture is. You know, pop is something that's hot at a point, and then it goes away. It's popular. So when Trayvon says the idea, which is a young man that's reliving the same interaction with police over and over again, Groundhog's Day style, I go, he's like, this was the first thing we should make after the pandemic. I go, gotta go now. However we gotta do it. Number one, the moment demanded the art with what happened with George
Floyd,
and Breonna and Ahmaud Arbery. So the moment demanded the art. Number two, the landscape of what was going to be out there, our goal was to win the Oscar from the jump. Like Blazama St. John, you guys can look at the text that I sent her when I was trying to get money for everything. I'm like, yo, we're gonna win an Oscar with this. And I sent her that text. I understood that it was gonna be a sparse year. It was gonna be a sparse year because there weren't gonna be as many productions because people couldn't get shit up.
Right. So Oscars do matter to you because some people will say the accolades, the awards shouldn't matter. But for you, you were like,
Nah,
I'm getting this Oscar.
Nah, they matter to me. And the reason why they matter is not like whether or not they matter is a different question than whether or not they're important. So they definitely matter. Like being a number one radio station matters, right? Having those accolades, they matter. The question is it important? If it matters to you, that just means it's something that can push your career forward, right? If it's important, that means that it's something that's what you hang your hat on. It doesn't. I wouldn't hang my hat on the fact that the movie won an Oscar. What I would hang my hat on is the fact that we had an idea and we had a vision and a goal and we hit our mark. So that's the thing that has to be important to you. That between me and Sean Combs and Lawrence Bender and Jesse Williams and the people over at Dirty Robber.
And Terrence J, didn't he?
Terrence J, shout out Terrence J. Oronde Garrett hooked me up with Terrence J. So between all of these people, right, that we were able to do our thing. The Oscar matters because we're trying to start a production company. And starting a production company, having an Academy Award for your first production, that just matters in the town, and you can't get around that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now you got the book, Fat, Crazy, and Tired, Tales from the Trenches of Transformation. What motivated you to write this book?
Well,
and why was it necessary now? Speaking of timing.
Yeah. Well, the book is necessary now for me because I'm in a space to where I'm still trying to feel comfortable with me. You know what I mean? One of the biggest accomplishments in my life was losing 170 pounds, right?
Tell people how big you were at one point.
I was about 370, right? And so I've been a lot.
Wax out there, Wax goes. When you said that, he goes.
So a lot of people are looking at me right now, and they're like, well, Van, you've gained some weight, and I have, right? I gained some weight during the pandemic. I think the book was important for me because so much of my life was focused around the fact that I had been able to lose this weight and like change my life. And during the pandemic, I took my body and I took what I was going through as a personal failure. That my anxiety crept back in, my depression crept back in. I was really down. And the book is about coming to terms with the reasons why I am the way that I am so that I can live inside of myself no matter what casing I'm in. And also, Fat, Crazy, and Tired is the way that America makes black people. So America makes black people fat, crazy, and tired. Like our conditions denote that we eat a certain way. Like we're constantly gaslit. And in being constantly gaslit, that makes you crazy. It's just weird to have the conversation about why blackface is wrong for the 100th time.
Word up.
Like you're like, yo, wait, are you stupid or am I?
Word
like
up.
you know what I'm saying? Like who like and all of these things over and over again, waking up, watching brothers and sisters killed all the time, you can't help but be crazy. Some of these social justice people that you know, that you guys see, I know them. They are not terribly well-adjusted people. It's just hard to be. It's hard to be a terribly well-adjusted person when you are fighting for something that's right, but you are constantly assailed all the time from every single side. You don't know who to trust. You don't know who's on your side, Our women don't feel safe sometimes, and so what do we do when a black lady acts out? Oh, she crazy. Nigga, why? Like why is she reacting this strongly? Why does she feel this level of distrust? Why does she feel this level of animus? Like what you're calling her crazy. Have you stopped to think why we all act this way? We bump into each other, we ready to fight. Crazy behavior. Why? Like why? And then the tired part is just kind of what I see happen to the people in my community in Louisiana. My dad died last July of congestive heart failure, right? And basically his heart just couldn't function anymore. Stress, strain just gave out.
He had it for a long time, right?
Had it for a long time. But like it just became something to where my father's body, he was only 66, but it's just a lot being a Southern man. Mm-hmm. It's a lot coming up that way. And it's like, and he, as much vigor and as much of a force of nature as he was, he just couldn't go no more.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these diseases and a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, this stress destroys our immune systems. It changes the way we function. It keeps our body in a constant state of shock, and our bodies just go, it's time to go see the upper room. I've done enough.
I did get a chance to read the excerpt. We didn't get the book ahead of time.
Yeah.
Where you talk about your father and him dying and how you felt like you wanted to be like Brett Favre.
Yeah.
In that moment when Brett Favre played, but his father had just died the day before, and he still had like an amazing game. Mm-hmm. And then you had to realize that you don't have to cope and face things that way. And so once you come to that realization, how did things change for you?
I think my thing was I learned to love my father more when I stopped trying to be him. And if that, it just wouldn't have bothered him. Like, not that it wouldn't have bothered him. He just would have picked up the pieces and moved on. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a pick up the pieces and move on type of guy. I need some space type of guy. And I had to recognize
Nothing
that.
wrong with that, though.
You know what I mean?
That's a form of self-care.
Yeah, like I need some space type of guy. Like, Brett Favre goes out, and the day after his father died, he throws for 399 yards on Monday Night Football. I'm driving across the river from Baton Rouge to Maringouin, Louisiana. I'm going to put my dad in a box and put him in the ground forever. It's a peculiar feeling when the parent dies. It's like, it's weird. It's someone that's known you for every second of your life that you feel like has every answer to every question, and then they're just gone. And now for the next portion of your life, you have to speak to the wind. And I'm coming to terms with this while I'm driving my boy Ian and Gino. They're in the car with me, and we're driving across the river. And I'm thinking, shit, Brett Favre got up and he threw for all of them yards. Go do this. And I get to the funeral home. I'm not trying to diss the people at the funeral home because they were great and they were very helpful. But they're like, yeah, this guy that, was actually in your father's graduating class from Shady Grove. They're like, he died last week. So it's weird. They both graduated together and they both went on in, and I'm thinking, what? Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, like my father died. Like, it's not a small talk situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? God bless that man and his family, but I'm just sitting there, and people are talking about, they're asking me, and people are saying, yo, what was his favorite this? And I'm calling it out. Like, did he have a favorite hat? I'm like, yeah. And I keep going. I'm thinking to myself, just go. Just answer the questions. Because now I'm the man, right? I'm the only one that has enough money to pay for this. I'm the only one that knew enough about him to do all this. So now I have to be here. And I look around, and I look at my Uncle Craig, and he looks exactly like my dad. My Uncle Craig comes in, and I look at him. My Uncle Craig is standing there. I'm like, I need a minute.
Damn.
I turn around, I walk out, and I go out. And when I go out into Maringouin, into Louisiana, it's a hot, humid Louisiana day. The wind is blowing. I'm looking at the field, and I just sit there, and I say, God. And the next thing I knew, I felt like I'm like, God, man, please help me, God. Like, help me. Like, help me. And the next thing I felt was my homeboy Ian, his hand was on my shoulder, and I'm standing there. I'm like, I don't think I can go back in. And they're like, let's just finish it. Go back in there and finish it. And I never saw him. I never looked at him. They're like, do you want to see him? Couldn't see him. Last time I saw my father alive in the flesh was 2019.
I get it, because I don't. That's why I don't go to funerals to this day.
Couldn't look
I don't like wakes. I don't like seeing people in the casket. I want to remember you the last time I had a conversation with you like that. That's what I want to remember.
Yeah. So just couldn't see him, hadn't seen him, and if I'd have known that was the last time I would have saw him, I think it would have been a lot different. A lot of things I'd have said too.
And the thing you're talking about with Brett Favre, a lot of times, man, that's just staying busy is a response to trauma.
Yeah. Well, I said that in the book. I'm like, I didn't. Like I said, for Brett Favre and his dad, Irving Favre, they shared football together.
Yeah.
So perhaps football was his way of grieving. My way of grieving was to leave everybody and just go drive down the levee. I went, man. It's so weird.
Don't skip the food. I know you was home too. I know you went and got a good meal.
See, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about people. This is the thing.
I know you got a good meal.
And this is another thing that's in the book. I couldn't help but gain weight because I'm there, I'm sitting there, and people, I don't even see how people found me. I'm looking up Rachel Lindsay. Shout out Rachel Lindsay, my co-host on Higher Learning on the Ringer Podcast Network. She sent a trough of barbecue. She sent a trough of barbecue. She sent 5 whole hogs to the house. My mama coming around. I love my mother so much. Crystal Lathan, Crystal Ellis. I love my mother so much. Making everything. Baby, what you want for breakfast? You want some apple pie? No. Apple pie? Baby, I'm coming over right now. Just make sure you get a good breakfast. Good breakfast. I got some fried fish and some French fries. No.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? It's just the whole time we're there. My people were coming over. Like my boy Chris was knocking on the door on his way to work every morning, 7 a.m. I'm like, nigga, let me sleep, bro. Like I'm okay. So it was just it was just tough, and I'm really not out of it, and it's still something that I'm kind of learning to deal with right now.
You talk to your dad every day. You say, right?
Talk to him every day. Yesterday, I get into New York, and I remember my dad used to always talk about the Empire State Building. He'd be like, taller than the Empire State Building. And I'm like, yo, you want to go and see the Empire State Building? And he'll be like, no. I see it on TV. I'd be like, do you ever want to stand in front of it? And I'm driving around yesterday doing stuff, and I passed by the Empire State Building, and I'm like, well, there it is, Dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I wonder, because you were speaking in past tense when you was fat back in the day, but you said you gained some weight.
Sure.
Do you think that helped you while you was writing the book this time? Because you really were back into that space of being fat, crazy, and tired.
Yeah, I think it did. I think that what it forced me to. There's so much of my life that I would. The pandemic for me stopped. It took my distractions away, like everyone else, and when it took my distractions away, it made me sit in who I really am, and who I really am doesn't really have anything to do with like how I come off in that way. Like right now, I'm heavier, but. Like, I'm super active. I box every morning. That's why, one of these days I'm going to get Wax in the ring, beat the shit out of him. Like, I box every morning. I run. I do all of these things. I just look different. Like, I can't take pride in the package, and I have to really focus on who I am and the health inside of me and make sure that, like, I don't look good in my clothes. You know what I mean? I don't feel good about that part of me. So the question is, while I'm in this space, by the way, I'm losing this weight. I can't do this. Like, I can't sit on the plane and do this whole thing. But I have to become okay with myself again. And I never did that. When I was who I was before, when I was 370 pounds, I never took the time to be like, okay, Van, you're okay. Like you're an okay person. Like it means you're fine, but you just don't like the fact that you can't perform in the way that you look, so just change that. I said, no, this version of me is bad.
Right.
And because this version of me is bad, I'm only going to be good when I change it. I'm good either way. It's not about how I look, it's about how I feel.
Right up.
And so, like, getting to the point in your life where you feel good about yourself, there should not be a number on the scale around that. There shouldn't be a body fat percentage around that. There shouldn't be a dollar amount around that. Like, what the pandemic taught me to prioritize peace over everything else. Peace. Like peace. Can I rest? Can I be okay? Can I lay in the hammock with the dog, with Kalika? Like peace. Peace is the thing that's the most important.
You also don't believe in detoxing, you said, right?
No, not really.
Have you ever tried a detox? I'm just curious.
Are you one of these sea moss people, Angela?
Well, I do own a juice bar. In all fairness, we do have sea moss drinks. But when I say detoxing, just because I've only done a detox twice in my life, but it really did change my palate and my appetite. And the point of a detox, just because I think, people feel like detox and then you just go right back to what you were doing. But I did feel like it was helpful for me because it allowed me to exercise some willpower. It gave me other things to do. Like normally when we go out, it's like, let's go get something to eat. Let's go have a drink. It gave me other options of things to think about when I'm socializing during a detox. What can I do? It also made me think more about what I was eating. And so when I would sit down, a lot of times you eat and finish what's on your plate. So now I'll be like, all right, I'll take half of this to go already before I even sit down and eat. And then it also made me like things that I didn't like before and not like things that weren't so good for me because it tastes different after a detox.
Okay. I mean, I'm definitely down to try that.
Yeah, so it was something that I feel like helped me, and it also gives like your body a break and your organs from having to work so hard to break things down constantly. It gives it a break to like recharge and refresh and get strong again.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to try that because, you know, I have a show that I'm doing right now. I'm hosting the show, and by the time the upfronts come out, I want to be kind of back. I can't carry this much weight. It's not healthy and stuff like that. So I want to lose some weight.
Okay,
But
That's the show at 50.
I'll do the detox with you.
I'll
You
do the
can try
detox
it.
with you.
Yeah, I'll set it up for you just because I feel like it was really valuable for me. I had never done one. And so me doing that, it did, you know, afterward, they give you like a plan of things that you can eat to ease back into eating.
Right.
And that was helpful because it was stuff I'm like, I don't eat this. But now I'm eating quinoa and cauliflower and things like that before, and certain things just felt too nasty when I tried to eat it after the detox.
Okay, I'll definitely try that. I'm down for all of that stuff. Plus that be having your skin looking good and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
like
it
that.
does.
Yeah.
It made Envy's hair grow back when he did it.
Made Envy's hair grow
That's
back.
not
Yeah,
true.
it made his hairline grow back.
He bought that. Now, the show you're talking about, that's the show with 50 and Mona producing, right?
Yeah, Hip Hop Homicides.
Okay.
So that's going to be out on WeTV this September. So it's been tough. Like even with that, right? So you go around from. I just left Chicago, man.
Deep dish pizza, baby.
Deep dish pizza, like Harold's Chicken.
Oh.
It's a war in Chicago, man, and it's not between the blocks. It's between Harold's Chicken and Uncle Remus Chicken in Chicago. Uncle Remus is on the west side. Harold's is everywhere else, I guess. So I'm in Chicago. I met great people in Chicago, by the way.
Do you think Harold's could have saved Kim and Kanye's relationship if he'd have just took her there once?
Did he never take her to
I don't
Harold's?
think so, bro.
We don't
Because
know that.
look, so the Harold's I went to, so the Harold's we went to in the show, there's a picture of Kanye in the Harold's.
Okay.
Because
He went.
Yeah, he went, but he didn't take her.
As I'm saying.
But look though, do you think that Kim is the kind of ride you through the south side of Chicago type girl?
She in Staten Island getting pizza.
That's true. She in Staten Island getting penis.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Here's the headline.
But
Van Lathan says Kim is in Staten Island getting penis.
is that not true though?
Getting penis is a choice.
Right, it is a choice. It is a choice. But like, bruh, Chicago. So when I think about the book, like when I'm in Chicago, man, I meet all these people. We went to O Block in Chicago. We went to Inglewood. Talked to Chicago King Dave from No Cap Podcast, FBG Cash, Drea O, all of these people I'm meeting in Chicago. Talk to the kids on O Block, and I'm looking at the book. I'm looking at people making the most out of living in circumstances that are unhealthy for them. You know, talk to GLC out Chicago. He got vegan cakes. GLC got vegan cakes, the ism cakes GLC got to try to introduce healthy options to his community. And it's hard to live healthily. It's hard to be healthy in a survival matrix.
That's right.
It's hard when you're thinking about, like, I said this before, but like if we on a plane and the plane go down, the first thing we're gonna think about is who do we have to eat to survive? Like who?
What? That's not the first thing I'm thinking about.
See, that's the fat man in you. Ain't nobody think that.
That's
While the plane going down,
Everybody
man.
think
Okay, so listen, y'all, this is the same. Wait.
The plane is
goes down,
crashing.
the first
I'm
thing
going to
you're
eat one of you
thinking is, who am I
motherfuckers.
going to eat to survive?
Hold on, wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people here. If we all on the plane and the plane crashes, right, and we ain't got no food.
Oh, you mean if we survive the plane
Yeah.
crash?
That's
Oh,
okay, you
I
didn't
didn't say it like that.
Wait.
You didn't phrase that right.
You thought that I got hungry as the plane
Yes,
was going
that's the
down?
way you made it sound.
No.
Like, we got to do this detox.
Right. So what I'm saying is, putting people in a survival matrix, it really will make you think about like eating your brothers. It makes you think about.
I'll be a vegetarian.
I gotta see where we at, bro. Ain't no animals around here.
Man,
no
I would be
fish.
a vegetarian.
I mean,
You guys,
there's some other options
Definitely.
before we
there's
get
a
to
book.
each other.
Wait, hold on. There's a book and a movie about this. The Argentinian Y'all see that movie Alive? The Argentinian soccer team, their plane crashed. And when their plane crashed, they were stuck in the Andes Mountains. And they had no food. They went through all the food that was in the galley and all that. They had no food, so they had to eat the dead, like, to survive.
Was there nothing in the mountains? No bears, no antelopes?
But the people were dead already? They didn't have to kill anyone, right?
My point is this. If we all survived, eventually, let me put it like this.
I don't want to go on a plane crash.
If we all survived, whatever it is, if we're stranded on a desert island, we're going to have to make decisions that are like, fuck you. You don't community build when you're in a survival matrix. You think about what it is that you have to overcome. And so when I was in Chicago and I'm watching these two groups of young men literally that live 4 blocks apart from each other go back and forth and not really feel like there's any way out of it. When I talk to each side of them, shout out to Pastor Corey Brooks out there who's trying to change things in Chicago, and I keep saying this man's name until he gets the $35 million that he needs to build the community center across from Parkway Gardens. But when you think about that, you just think about the fact that if they had better options, they would do better things.
Right.
All right, of course.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I like to see, like, NLE Choppa has his vegan food truck.
All that shit is great.
Yeah.
People be trying to put the drive on him or like make fun. You know, some of the shit he says is funny, but they're trying. And when we were on O Block, all of those little guys that we talked to, the rappers that are coming from them, I call them little because they're younger, not just because they I'm not a little nigga in them, but they just younger guys. They had all given money to the pastor. They had all donated. Mm-hmm. They understand that their conditions are uncommon and they want better. Mm-hmm. Like, we just have to make sure that we're helping everybody do better who wants better.
So that's where you got the trenches of transformation from?
The trenches of transformation is like, how do we change? Mm-hmm. Like, I tell a story in the book about a time that I went, like, what makes you change, right? So I go, there's a point where, like, when I really realized I had a food addiction, I had worked a shift at Best Buy 495, Baton Rouge. So I worked a shift at Best Buy, and whenever I would leave the shift at Best Buy, I would go to Bennigan's. Like, every single shift, I would go to Bennigan's because, like, I was lonely.
What is Bennigan's?
It's a restaurant.
Bennigan's is like an Irish pub. Yeah.
Oh.
You ever fuck with Bennigan's?
I don't know.
So Bennigan's had these big-ass chicken fingers, right? These big chicken tenders. It's like you get them and you loaded chicken tenders and whatever. And so I would go there and get the chicken tenders, and I would get loaded mashed potatoes and fries. Chicken tenders, loaded mashed potatoes, and fries, right? And I would have this little trick I would do when I would go there. It's like, I would act like I got a call from you or from you while I was waiting for it. They'd be like, yeah, man, what you want? Oh, you want a chocolate cake with the Alamo icing and all of that stuff? Like, oh, that's what you want? Cool, because they got one I can bring you. You want a chocolate shake too? Damn, nigga, you going in. So I get that call, hang up, and then I would add that to the order, but it was really for me, right? And the people knew that I did this all the time. So they knew that every time I come there, but like this was how much I was addicted to food. So I would eat 5 large chicken fingers, huge, right? Mashed potatoes, fries, and that. And I had to have it or else I didn't feel good. Mm-hmm. So I'm at Best Buy working one time, and I look across the parking lot, and I've told this story before. I look across the parking lot, and there's only one car in the biggest parking lot. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Bennigan's closed. Like, what happens now? And because
you got to eat a human.
Now you got to eat a person. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm not, man, Bennigan's is closed, man. Like, what the fuck? But I'm like, there's one car there, so who knows? Maybe it's one nigga in there making chicken. Who knows? I'm not sure. So I get in my car and I drive around because it's one of those things where on the outside of the mall parking lot you got the Best Buy, you got the J. Alexander's, you got the Bennigan's, Ralph and Kaku's across Bluebonnet. So I drive over to the Bennigan's, and because there's one car, I have some hope, and I literally look into the window like this. It's in the book. I talk about it. I literally look in the window like this. I'm like, knock, knock, knock. I'm looking. And I realized that it's closed. It was a holiday shift I was working at Best Buy, so we stayed open. We were retail. The Bennigan's had been closed. I get back in the car, and I feel this overwhelming sense of disappointment, this, like, chasm, this pit of grief. And I cry. You're a sick fuck. Like, you see I knew he was gonna laugh. But wait. Like, I knew for sure that he would laugh.
Oh, that is hilarious.
Like you're a sick fuck, bro.
Oh man,
You're sick.
I'm sick.
Yeah, like
Me?
And I'm so sorry that happened. that
thank
went
you,
through that.
thank you. And so,
No, I want to know where you went to eat because I know you went to get something to eat. You ain't cried too long.
I did. So I left and went to McDonald's. So I'm sitting there. So I'm sitting in there. I'm sitting there.
Now this is a good order.
Like I'll tell you what the McDonald's.
You told me this order before.
The
This is a
Van
good
Lathan
order.
Power Meal. So like I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and you know one of those moments like in the movies where you look at yourself and you're like, nigga, you need help. And I'm trying to teach. I'm like, God damn, I'm fucked up. I'm crying over some Bennigan's. I laugh. All of those moments in my life where I'm like, yo, this is really happening. Like I laugh. So I drive. I go to McDonald's. Number 4 supersize. 20-piece McNuggets. 2 apple pies with the drink. We good.
For the double quarter pounder.
The double quarter pounder.
Double quarter pounder.
Double quarter pounder with cheese.
20 piece.
Supersize fries. 20-piece. 2 apple pies. We good. And I would come home and my dude Ian would be like, I would come in the house because Ian was my roommate. I would come in the house and Ian would look at me. He'd be like, bro, why you gotta supersize everything, nigga? Like, he'd be like, just like why? Like he's like 20 nuggets. You doing the most, bro. Like chill. And that went on for a little while until literally one day, I was just like, fuck it. And I started it. And then that year I lost 140 pounds.
You just said, I got a diet now.
I was in California and I'm just walking around. I ordered these pants from the Gap and like, I saw one of the producers at my job got them to sell to me and I saw him hold the pants up. The pants were like a 52, 54 inch waist or something like that.
Michael Jordan size.
Yeah. You did him. Michael called straight for no reason. And so I walked around to the gym, started going to the gym. At first I could only do 30 minutes. Now, even at this size right now, I box 7, 8, 9 rounds. I'm good. At that point, I couldn't do shit. Barely could walk without losing my breath.
What do you think's the biggest difference you've seen in your life since losing weight?
2 differences. One, there's a difference in the way number one, I saw the bullshit in people. Because I'm the same smart, witty guy that I was even when I was bigger, but people don't tolerate you when you take up too much space. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't people like all right, nigga, get your fat jokey ass. Like, come on now,
right.
You take it like whatever. You just felt like people. It's something for me. The size I was, it forced me into a hole because I didn't want to do anything in public, right? I didn't feel like I was attractive, so I didn't want to try to be that way. I didn't want to try to get at chicks. I didn't want to eat in public. Like skinny girl go to the salad bar, lower her shit up. Oh my God, where's all that going? Big lady go to the bar, lowered her plate up. You need to change your fucking life.
Right. So
everyone, like when you're bigger like that, like look at Lizzo. Everyone's policing everything Lizzo does all the time. Everyone's policing.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything she wears.
Everything she wears.
She dances.
Like everything
people
she wears.
Tell her she's unhealthy. They don't even know what.
Yeah.
As much as she can move and dance, like she healthier than me.
No one knows. Has Lizzo ever posted her blood pressure? Has Lizzo ever I'm saying like people keep talking about how unhealthy she is.
Right.
And we could talk about how bodies and health is on average, but we don't know if she's unhealthy. We don't know anything about her like that. All we know is that she's comfortable within herself.
Yeah, that's interesting because I always look at Lizzo as she's just comfortable with herself when she does her twerking or when she gets on the plane with her.
People be so
her
mad when
thong
she
on.
twerks.
It makes people angry.
I've seen, trust me, I did that keynote with her and I saw some of the comments and the nasty things that people have to say to her. I was like, all love to Lizzo because that's not easy.
I wish, I talk about this in the book, like I wish that I could feel that way. Like the people that are body positive and the people that that are that way, I wish that I didn't look at myself and be like.
But she don't always feel that way.
I'm sure she doesn't.
You know, so it's not easy because people say the most ignorant, nasty things.
Yeah, and
it's also interesting too though because everybody that is like that confident when they're big, they should be, but eventually they have to lose weight because the doctor tells them they have to. We haven't seen a case where it hasn't happened
So
yet.
this is my thing. Yeah, the question is how much. The question is what makes a healthy person. The question is, and
she's also a vegan.
Right.
Put that out there.
And so the more we learn about our bodies, the more we learn that health is like there's no baseline. There's guidelines, and for me, even to be carrying this much weight right now, you know what I mean? I go in there and I do my thing, and after I come from playing basketball, like my ankles hurt. You know what I'm saying? And so like I'm getting older. I'm 42, and so
Heart issues running the family, right?
but not congestive heart failure is a little bit different. Like it's not something like my heart's been all of that stuff been completely checked out. But that's something that like that's more of a lifestyle thing. It's a thing with high blood pressure. My dad was a heavy smoker, but even still, to your point, just gotta watch it. Make sure that you're at a good weight. And this is too much weight for me personally. But what I'm saying is, everybody has an opinion about what you're doing when they find you disagreeable for some reason, right? And so for me, like being at the bigger size, what I learned was that there was shit that I could get away with when I was small. I had a Yahoo Personals profile. I'll talk about this in the book because when I first got out to LA, like I couldn't meet people. So I put the Yahoo Personals profile up. I was fatter in the Yahoo Personals profile, right? And I'll come back to the profile and like my shit was getting absolutely zero buzz, zero action, right? Zero buzz. Nothing was happening. I lose weight. I go back and I put the new pictures up there, and I'm not saying that I'm fucking like whatever, but people were fucking with it. I put the picture in the book. People were fucking with it. People were like, "Oh, hit me up, blah blah blah." For a minute, that changed my opinion of women, because I started to think, well, are women full of shit? Like women talk about they want a funny, nice, cool, like whatever guy, and it seemed that it was just all about looks. So,
But from a profile, that's the first thing you
true.
see.
Yeah.
So you
Nothing
can't
wrong
know
with
if
having a
somebody's
preference
really-
either.
nothing.
Yeah.
But I had to learn. I had to like de-bitter myself and get out of that.
You should have been on bbw.date. That's a website.
He's not a
Is
woman.
that true?
Yes.
BBW.date is a website.
Yes.
Shout out to BBWs.
Yeah, you should have been on there.
Have you been on there?
No. I haven't had a reason to.
I know, but what I'm saying is, I never heard of BBW.
Oh, I just looked it up just now when you said it. I just looked. I was like, there got to be a website for big people.
Big beautiful women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to the BBWs.
All right.
Now, what was something you gained personally from writing the book?
I think I gained an understanding of just how complicated everything is. Writing the book was hard because
That's right.
you had to put everything together. I think we are really careening down the path of trying to simplify society, and it's just not simple.
It's over. We're there already. Like, shit is not black and white.
Yeah, it's
Never
like- it's
has
just
been.
not
There
that.
are no absolutes.
Yeah, yeah. And so I looked at my life, and a lot of the ways that I felt were due to perspective. And I would look at my friends, and I would, do you remember this? And they would be like, Van, like, we completely, totally did not see that. And they were like, and I talk to my friends, I'd be like, hey, man, I felt alone when y'all was making fun of me. And they would be like, Van, do you know you are the most vicious nigga when it comes to the drive session? You would go the hardest. Why would we ever think that anything would bother you?
Right.
Like we didn't know that.
It's like a defense mechanism.
yeah,
too, when
they're,
you're going.
they're like, why would we think that would get under your skin? Like you were the one that was keeping us on our toes. And so I think understanding that, like writing all of this, that it wasn't just all about me. I was a part of something, and wanting to change and wanting to get through it. And really, to be honest with you, more than anything, if I'm bullshitting and not trying to like protect myself, writing the book is helping me process my father's death. I don't see how people do this. I'm gonna be real with you. Like my anxiety doesn't allow me to just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like we go see Ghostbusters Afterlife, and at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, one of the Ghostbusters who dies, who's died in real life, Harold Ramis, he comes back as a ghost.
Wow.
At the end of the movie, he fights with the Ghostbusters. At the end of that movie, all four Ghostbusters are back together. Egon Springer comes back, and it's about his kids. And there's a moment where him as a ghost, he is like talking to his daughter, and I'm watching this, and we're in a theater in Los Angeles. I'm watching this. I'm like, felt like I got hit by a fucking bus. I cried so hard in that theater. I felt like somebody was punching me in my chest, and we're walking out, and I can't stop myself, and I'm like, yo, man, when is this shit gonna be over? And the book, actually doing the book and then doing the audio book, it helped me revisit some of those things and deal with them. So that's been and just getting my feelings out and being able to contextualize this moment in my life, put a pin in it, and just kind of, move on. That's like when I see Envy and people talk about the 10 years with no orgasm. Like when I see them going through that first of all, that was brilliant because that made me buy their book, right? But also, you don't want it to be another 10 years with no orgasm.
Well, this was back when they were like 17.
Right. So what I'm saying is, interesting. So what I'm saying is, like, you talk about that and you contextualize it. You're able to put things away and move on.
Right.
Well, healing's not linear, and grief is something that's gonna always come and go throughout the rest of your life.
Right.
You know that.
Yeah, of course. But so I'm just what I'm ready for is to say this is where I'm at now. We got more movies. We got more stuff. We got Higher Learning with Rachel Lindsay, Van Lathan. We got the Ringerverse. We got all of these things that we're doing. So many different things that I'm into right now, and I just wanted to get my thoughts on my life up to this point, and really the lives of the people in my community. That book is as much about South Louisiana as it is about me. So.
My last question, for years people say, "Oh, that's the black guy from TMZ."
Yeah.
So how would you define Van Lathan right now?
Oh, good. Well, certainly, I still get the black guy from TMZ all the time, despite it. But I don't know. I don't think I have an answer. I would love to have something, but I don't think I'm really into defining myself as much as I am into enjoying the peaceful times that I can get in and doing better. There's a lot of stuff about me that's not in there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff about the way I've been in relationships, in my relationship. There's a lot of stuff about how I've treated people. There's a lot of stuff about how people have treated me that's not in there. Mm-hmm. So I think what I would like to be right now has nothing to do with who I am professionally. When I was still playing ball a lot, I always wanted to dunk off 2 feet. I'm a one-footed jumper. So when I jump up to dunk the ball, it's always off 1 foot, right? You jump off 2 feet, you can jump up and do crazy shit in the air. You can take hits, boom. Most really athletic guys jump off 2 feet. I'll never forget this guy named Graham Mitchell, who's a fitness guy in L.A. We're in the gym, and I see these guys doing these crazy dunks off 2 feet, and I'm doing it off 1, and I can't stay in the air as long as them. I get up, I come down. Like, I can't do all that stuff. And I remember asking him, and I was like, yo, if I start training with you, can you make me as good of a 2-footed jumper as him? Can you make me a great 2-footed jumper? And I'll never forget the answer that he gave me. He said, no, I can't. He said, I can make you a better 2-footed jumper, though. So, what it's not about good or great, because those are subjective. It's about better.
That's right.
And that's me trying to do better.
Van Lathan Jr., Fat, Crazy, and Tired.
Tales from the trenches of transformation.
Yep.
My guy Van Lathan. Make sure y'all go out and get the book, man. Follow Van on Instagram, Twitter at Van Lathan. Check out the Higher Learning podcast with Rachel Lindsay and Hip Hop Homicides coming in September.
Homicide.
Homicide.
Oh my God.
What I said.
Hip Hop Homicides coming in September.
That's what I said. It's the Breakfast Club.
Peace.